Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs. A happy, Saturday morning. It's still morning, just about. I hope you are well. Hope the day's treating you. The weekend's going to look even better, and obviously enjoy the weekend. You deserve it. In this video, though, we are talking about really the international update surrounding some players. Obviously, I put Destiny Dorgu on my thumbnail. That's because the guy turned up yesterday for Italy. But obviously, the more important thing you could even say is Patrick Dorgu. What's the situation surrounding Patrick Dorgu and Spurs' interest? It's not just us. There's also Chelsea. I'm going to be talking about that. Going to be talking about quite a few little bits and bobs surrounding this deal, really. So, yeah, plenty to talk about, plenty to get into. Just to say that if you're watching this and you're new, subscribe. Very much welcome to join us for the journey. And, and obviously I've been in a few pre-recorded videos over the last couple of days. If you missed them, go back and watch them. There's some good stuff there. Some good content put out in the last few days. Been a bit more creative, I think, with the international break being on. It's not as much to talk about. It's good to talk about how the guys are doing out on their international duties, but obviously there's not as much to talk about with the fact that Spurs aren't here at the moment. So I saw some information on Dorgu there as well. Morning, Spurs. How are we? Slanky was also too expensive for Spurs. Well, there you go. There you go. Hello, guys. I'll soon be back from injury. All right, Richarlison. Morning, Sonia. I'm good. How are you? Tottenham says Dorgu, any left-sided defender would have been good. Oh, yeah. Al Dante, how are you, mate? You all right? Hello, Les, mate. You decided to... Oh, you go back to college, have you? Ooh. I'm a little bit too old for that, mate. A little bit too old for that. But if you're tired now, when you join the big bad world of working, you're going to be even worse. Hey, Teddy, mate, how are you? So, look, let's talk about Dorgu. So, look, we talked about Dorgu a lot on this channel. So, quick little history trip for us. Obviously, someone that we've been interested in, the Lecce left back, and someone that I've been talking about very, very highly of on this channel. I've talked about him countless times, really, by saying, oh, starting to rain again. Talking about how, this is a player who stylistically is quite similar to Destiny and what we have there at left back and what we want more of from our left back position. The ability to not have to change the style of play or the system that we're running because we've got two left backs are so different from one another. If you think of Ben Davies and Destiny, they're two completely different left backs. So with Patrick, we had that really there with a easy transition. So Romano was talking about it and saying that Patrick Dorgu was on the list for Tottenham in the fullback position during the summer transfer window. The deal was considered too expensive as Lecce had asked for more than 30 million euros. He is really appreciated by the club. They are monitoring him. So look, I'm not saying that I was one of the first ones to be on this because I wasn't, but I was one of these, I think maybe the flag bearer of this move that, this is something that I really truly wanted at Spurs. Someone that I just think it would have given us so much more of an ability to keep Destiny fit. And so with that being said, I'm glad that Spurs are still monitoring him. It's not, we weren't going to get everyone last summer. Obviously, we didn't. We know that. But the fact that we're still monitoring him is a good sign, in my opinion, because it means it's not over. Okay. Slanky wasn't too expensive for us. He's a first-team player, whereas Dorgu would have been a squad player. Naturally, more money is spent on first-team players. Just watched the 2019 Champions League final for closure. I'm frustrated with Poch, but I did take off Delhi and leave Kane on the 80th minute. Very frustrating. Mate, it's half a decade ago. Do you know what? I've never rewatched the game. I've never rewatched the highlights. I refuse to as well. He was on the right when he played for Denmark. Oh, there you go. Morning, Andy. It's taken me a week to get over Newcastle feet. If we lose to Woolwich, it takes me a month to get over that one. Well, look, we'll talk about Arsenal a little bit closer to the time, but I'm glad you're over the Newcastle defeat. Romano did go on and say that Chelsea had tried to sign Dorgu in the summer, but the price was too high. Lecce wanted more than 30 to 35 million. The plan was to join Strasbourg for a potential future at Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, if he's too expensive for Chelsea, then he's just too expensive, full stop. You know what I mean? If Chelsea don't want to pay that money, then he's too expensive because they'll pay money for pretty much anyone. They'll pay money for you. They'll pay money for me. They'll pay money for Steve down the road, And so I don't see him. Them wanting like £35 million. I don't see that in the slightest. Good player. And I'm not denying that because I've been someone that really wants him. But for that kind of money, that's ridiculous. Then saying that we bought actually go for 30 million. So, I still think money wise, I think, Spurs would, I think had it been closer to maybe 20, I think Spurs might have been on that, but 30 plus, I wouldn't have seen Spurs on it personally. This international break is horrible. Every season we get started after 3 matches are hyped up for the season, and then they call halting it for a fortnight. Not fun. Well, get used to this one, Al Dente, because we've got 2 more this year alone. But if they didn't, it might reset the market on the. No, it could. I think that's the thing. You're taking a punt on. I mean, this is a good description for Dorgu. Actually, hang on. Let me just look when his contract expires, because I think that will help us. Summer of 2027. So I have 2 years left on his deal. That will be the summer they want to sell him, because that will be the highest his market value will be. I don't see it climbing much more, if I'm honest, due to 2 years left on his contract. In which league is Lecce? They are in the Serie A, the Italian league. I think Archie is better buy for future. Next summer, I can see that the rebuild will be finished with big signings and will be competing side. Well, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Let's sort of see on that front, because we need to get through this season first. Morning, Ivan. Mate, how are you? Oh, Marshall's here. Watch out, everyone. Marshall's here. We're not talking about Sami Kalixoi, so he won't be too happy. Or Semi Kalixoi. But yeah, so hopefully so we keep on being in this Dorgu market. I mean, there was talk about Bradley Locko as well. So evidently they've looked at left back and gone, we need to work there. But I also get them not jumping for the sake of jumping into buying another left back when then, that's not one of their true options. Maybe their true options are the Dorgu or the Locko. And if it's not, we can't get one of those two, the next few they have on the list maybe aren't truly what they want. And therefore they've not taken the plunge, which I get, Next summer we'll buy Cardoso. Well, we'll see on that one. Morning, Glenn. I'm feeling good. How are you, mate? You're right. Interesting, Marshall. If we can get him for 21 million, as long as he's a decent season, well, yeah. Again, this is all preface onto the guy having a good season. Let's do an international roundup. Let's talk about the boys out in their international footy. Let's start with the man on the thumbnail, Destiny Udogie, because the guy didn't start for Italy yesterday, and Italy had, you could say, possibly the worst start they had, because they had a 1-0 deficit to overcome. They were 1-0 down in the first minute against France yesterday. They came back to win 3-1, though. So, fantastic. I mean, DeMarco's goal, if you've not watched DeMarco's goal for them, it was, oh my word, absolutely incredible goal. I really recommend going back to see that. But Destiny came on in the 62nd minute. So, just after the 60-minute mark, apologies. There was 62nd minute. They were 2-1 up. He came on to get the assist for Raspadori's goal to make it 3-1. So came on, skinning players, beating players off the dribble. That gave me some hope. That gave me some happiness that Destiny's still that guy. Still that guy. Ange says he's a US international, but raised in Brazil and played in Brazil. Yes, he is. Correct, Daryl. But yeah, happy days on Destiny. If we can get Destiny back raring and rocking to go, that's all I care about. The guy's unbelievable. Moving on to another defender who had a bloody good game. Radu Dragusin, 3-0 away win to Kosovo. And hey, clean sheet. You're always going to be happy about the clean sheet. Did get booked, but vibes. Dominant performance again. And Romania, do you know what? When we were watching the Euros, I was like, Romania, they're my dark horses. I love them. I think they're brilliant. And people going, my dark horse is Portugal. It's like, really? Portugal? They've got treble winners in their team. They've got players that are on 300 plus grand a week. That's a dark horse. If that's a dark horse, then I've lost it. But a dark horse for me was someone that you just didn't expect to do anything and ended up doing all right. And that was for me, Romania. And, he was obviously fantastic in the Euros. And lo and behold, he's continued that on for Romania. Obviously, he was decent against Newcastle, for us to be fair. Quite a few good blocks and challenges. So, there you go. Yeah, Johnny came on in the win. There you go. Seems like Arsenal star signing is already injured after one international match. Well, they have zero. They never have real injury issues. I mean, Erdegaard played yesterday. No injury issues, He was dominant in the air. Radu is dominant in the air. I think when he comes to the Premier League, I think he needs to realise he is much bigger than most people. Use that. Use the fact that you can jump higher than most people. Use the fact that you're a monster, you know? Yeah, Ndombele's been cooking lately. Absolutely. But yes, so a little bit of that on Radu Dragojin. Moving over to the other side of the world, Cristiano Romero, Argentina, 3-0 home win against Chile. Left it quite late to really wrap the game up. They won 1-0 up just after half time, and then they got their last two within 10 minutes of the game finishing. I mean, clean sheet again. I did see that crazy stat that he's the most travelled footballer last year, with hundreds of thousands of kilometres travelled because of obviously Europe international duty. It's actually so impressive when he then comes back from international duty and he drops an absolute 10 out of 10 performance. It always shocks me now thinking about it, because how difficult is that? I mean, think of the jet lag, think of the energy that it takes out of you traveling like that. It just, for me, I think that's amazingly impressive. That's why we've got an absolute rock star in our hands, haven't we? You know, like we've seen Radu is dominant at the end of last season with how well he protected Vicario. Something our other defenders didn't do much last season. Well, to be fair, mate, the rules were supposed to be there to replace to help the keepers, and other keepers did get a lot more protection. Vicario, they treated like a WWE match. They went, look, here's some steel chairs, here's some sledgehammers, here's some ladders and tables. Just hit Vicario what you want, because we're not going to call it. This season, they've actually decided to go, no, the keepers had been getting beaten up a little bit at corners. We're not having that anymore, you know. Sweatshirt's looking nice. You know me. You know me. But yeah, you dare like that. I'm surprised it wasn't, Jeff Hardy giving him a swanton bomb through the table, or Edge spearing him off a ladder. So there you go on that. But look, some good stuff there. Moving over to the new Swedish captain in Dejan Kulusevski, obviously starting for Sweden in a 3-1 win away to Azerbaijan. Bergvall was on the bench. He did come on. Can't give you the exact minute. Hang on 1 second. Let me find the exact minute of when he came on. Azerbaijan made loads of late subs. The 72nd minute. They were 2-0 up at the time, so came on and they drew 1-0. That's rubbish. It's rubbish, Bergvall. God. But look, I mean, the fact that he's so young, getting that international call-up's amazing. Obviously, Dejan, obviously fantastic, by the way, being the international captain. That's incredible, I want everyone in the team to shine, but Radu is probably one of the players I want to shine the most. It's nice seeing his passion, excitement over simple defending, as people call it. I like it. We should discard that expensive Dorgu for Jeremy Frimpong. Frimpong, I think, will end up going to Real Madrid at this rate. That's my guess. Biss scored again. I'm getting there, Johnny. I'm getting there. Stop trying to do my job for me. God. Moving on to Wales, though. I want to talk about Wales, because Wales drew 0-0 with Turkey. Solid result on paper, if you think about it. But Turkey were down to 10 men for about half an hour. I mean, Brennan Johnson played and started. So did Ben Davies. Both started. I mean, some decent players in this team. Both of those guys. You've still got Nico Williams, Ethan Ampadu, Joe Rodon, obviously he's a former Spurs player. I don't see Dan James. Who's this J James? Jordan James. Who's he play for? He plays for Rennes. Crikey, I didn't think that. Harry Wilson's obviously in there as well. So a lot of good players in that Welsh team. I think they'll be somewhat disappointed by not getting 3 points against a 10-man team. You'd have to be disappointed with that, wouldn't you? You'd have to be. I mean, one shot on target across that game's not good enough either. I feel like Dragic will put a lot of pressure on the starting centre back for sure. I love it. Dorgu got an assist. I already talked about it, Rohan. Already talked about it. Come on. I'm 2 steps ahead of this game, Move over to Senegal. Pape Matar starting for Senegal in a 1-1 draw at home to Burkina Faso. Just trying to find, because he got substituted. When on earth did he get substituted? Oh, there we go. 68th minute. Well, I tell you what, they were winning 1-0 when he got substituted. They conceded in the 95th minute, Senegal. So, Pape did his job, 1-0 up. He leaves the pitch. They drew 1-0. What can he do? You know what I mean? Maybe this AFCON acts as a confidence booster, unlike the last one. It still shocks me that most a player Sorry, it still shocks me that the most a player has gone from in the Welsh League is 120,000. Didn't know that. Dragoshin is very strong and good that we have a player to come in, but he's more suited to cover Romero than Van der Ven. Well, I mean, we've talked about the left side of the fence a few times in the last few weeks. Try not to harp on it too much more now, but that's why we talked about Patrick Dorgu at the start, and yeah, because Johnny decided to try and beat me to it, the absolute state of it. Bissouma on the score sheet. Another, do you know what? It's the second time in the last couple of weeks that he scored an absolute boomer, and it was an absolute boomer, by the way. I do recommend going and have a look at it because I tell you what, if Bissouma's adding that to his game, I mean, fair play. But I mean, he scores that absolute banger against Everton. He then scores an absolute banger again. Well, for Marley, I was well impressed. I was well impressed by the guy. I didn't think he had that in his locker, but he definitely did. Beats the player 20 yards out, rockets it in. I was well impressed. I couldn't believe it. I was like, fair play, Biss. I mean, where have you got that from? And I guarantee someone goes, it's from the balloons, isn't it? It's from the balloons. So I'm just looking, and there's a bit more on Dorgu. Okay, yeah, nothing really. That's fine. Boring topics. I'm out. I'm in. It wasn't for you. If you don't want to be here, mate, the click off button somewhere on your screen. You're more than welcome to leave. Okay. If it's boring, I don't care. How about that? Go Biss. Exactly. Too systematic for me today. Yeah, I know, right? I was following this like trajectory, and Johnny just goes, "Psych." You're going to talk about Biss about 10 minutes later, weren't you? I'm here now. Hope he keeps confidence because he's a confidence player. Yeah, well, with Biss, I mean, the first 10 games last season, Biss was obviously a brilliant player. The sending off against Luton, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't deserved or was deserved, but it was a sending off. Misses obviously time through that. Gets sent off against Forest as well. Then obviously you have the AFCON situation. It was all stop-start. After that red card, it was all a lot of stop-start football for him. Once I think he came back, obviously then contracted malaria. We know that. Once he came back and got healthy and got fit and got the minutes back into his legs, towards the end of the season, he was very good. So with him, can be a lot of confidence. I just think with him, he's more of a routine player is the way I like to describe it. If he can play more and more and more and more regularly, happy days. You know what I mean? If he's not going to get that, that's his big issue. You know what I mean? As long as he doesn't do a Micah Richards dive again, we are good. God, that's a shout. Has there been any further update on Solanke? I thought he's back for Arsenal. Yeah, don't worry what FPL says just yet, mate. I supposedly think he will be back. Mickey didn't go off to international duty with Holland because they said he's trying to get rested up. So I assume he'll be back as well. You reckon we get Dorgu and Jan? I mean, it will depend on how Lecce are doing, really. If Lecce aren't really playing for international football, not international football, sorry, if they're not playing for European football, but at the same time, they're not going to get relegated, then they might try and cash in on them because they might think, well, let's get some good money in there. It also depends on who they might have lined up. Do they have, players through the youth academy and things like that are coming through that are half decent and think they can get someone quite cheap to come in January? If not, then they'll wait till the summer because they'll still know they'll get good value in the summer, won't they? There's, difference between January and summer. Yes, maybe you might sell more for in January, but then obviously you're going to have to replace him by spending more for your replacement, So it really depends on what they have lined up, I'd say, on Dorgu. But we'll see on that one because I really like Dorgu. I'm really hopeful that we will look to keep bringing him through with this whole monitoring situation. January we'll see about that. But look, he's the guy, you all know he's the guy that I truly wanted. I wanted him over Bradley Locko. I'd have taken either, but I want one of them. And as long as we get one of them or someone of similar quality, that's all I care about, Obviously, a lot of people saying like Alfie Doughty over at Luton, who, by the way, Luton have started their season pretty awfully, haven't they? They're struggling. I'm not saying it's Doughty's fault before anyone complains. But there was a lot of other talents that we have been linked to left back wise. We'll have to I hope they do look at that left side of the fence, even if it's just a left back or a left centre back. That's the one I want, you know. Malera can be very debilitating, with a long recovery period to full fitness. Absolutely. And look, apparently they said he got over it quite quickly, but you always can get long-term effects, can't you? You know, off topic, I've seen Chelsea getting sued. That's a whole mess up. I haven't seen that. I did see that apparently the owners are trying to buy out Bowley. I don't know what's going on there. It's a mess. Every day there's something with Chelsea. If I was a Chelsea YouTuber, I'd never get stuck for content, would I? I'd always have stuff going on, good, bad, or ugly. I can talk about. I'd be able to do 3-4 videos a day, and I'd have hundreds of thousands of subscribers so quickly with the amount of content I could put out. Kind of glad that I don't have that. You know what I mean? Malaria can literally mean you're right. Red blood cells exploding. Was surprised he came back and played so soon. Yeah, apparently he got over it. But you know, you give the benefit of the doubt a lot of people don't, because they think you've been cleared fit. I mean, you're fit. I mean, why are you not playing your 10 out of 10 performances? But, you know, for other people, being more realistic, we know that it needs to take time. 30 million for a squad player is too expensive. Also, Archie 40 million. Well, technically, Archie is 30 million. But I get what you're saying, Alexander, because I do agree. It's like, do we not... Look, again, they might like Patrick Dorgu, but they might value him at 15 million. They're not going to want to spend 35 million on him then, are they? So I kind of get it to a degree, but surely there was other things in place or other players on the list or the conveyor belt that we could have grabbed, you know? Clear Lake buying out Bowley is basically Saudi PIF buying out Bowley. I don't know enough about their situation, to be honest, but it is ridiculous, isn't it? Hold up, the owners want to buy out Bowley. Yeah, go check it out. It's a ridiculous story. Another chance for the Premier League to show it's behind the curve, regulate its own league. Yeah, they've mucked up massively, allowing them to sell... sell their hotels to Bowley or that company or the sister company just so they can clear off FFP. I don't want to go into it. It's boring, but it ain't half ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I don't want to even go into the PIF side of things, because I just think it's so confusing. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me. But yes, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. I'm glad I don't have to talk about it. I'm glad I don't have to, you know, go into that side of things and talk about it, because I just think it's all so bloody confusing, you know. But hey, we're Spurs fans. We unfortunately don't have that kind of drama. Grayley, 104 years. I tell you what, he was decent. Yeah, safely. That was one that I forgot to talk about, was England 21s. Obviously, they flopped, by the way. There was a lot of games yesterday where teams should have absolutely slapped another team. And this international break, teams should be slapping teams, and they're getting 0-0s and scraping 1-0s or drawing 1-0s. I mean, France yesterday, France under 21s. Odegaard only got 20 minutes. I mean, Desiree Doué scored, by the way. But they only got 21 minutes, only got about half an hour, 25 minutes. And they drew 1-0 with Slovenia at home. And I looked then in their groups, and they're third in their group, the French under 21s. Bonkers. And then you fast forward, Spain only just got by Scotland under 21s, and England drew 0-0 away to Northern Ireland. And look, I've got Northern Irish in my blood, so I'm not going to slag off Northern Ireland, but that's embarrassing for the under 21s. With that players that play Premier League football in that team: Liam Delap, Archie Gray, James Trafford played football in the Premier League last year. He's in the Championship, I know now, but he was touted to go to Newcastle as well. So many players. There you go. Hasn't Omri already left the French under 21s? I don't know the situation with them, to be honest, mate. Andy, what do you think about Newcastle Spurs? Solid performance by us. A number 9 would have won us the game. We were miles better than them. It was like playing Ultimate Team in Foot Champs, absolutely battering someone and them scoring 2 of their 3 on target and you losing 2-1. I've been there so many times. It infuriates the hell out of me. But yes, so interesting stuff, really. Obviously, there's still more football, international football-wise, coming through, which I will obviously talk about in due course. I may not be back later to talk more Spurs football. There is something exciting because a few of you have actually mentioned it, so I will quickly mention it because a few of you had. There's two things I want to mention, actually. First one is hopefully next week, if I can sort my stand out for this, we will be doing some Twitch streams out on there, which I will then upload some of that content into either this channel or the second channel, depending on what the content is. Obviously, if it's Spurs content, then we'll upload it here. If it's not, it'll go onto the second channel. So that will be there on the Twitch stream next week, which I'll talk about. I'll give you the link for it closer to the time. There was also a few of you that wanted memberships and things like that to this channel. The memberships are now live on this channel, so you can have that. Brings out other stuff. There'll be special content for the members as well, more impersonal stuff. You know, it doesn't always have to be about Spurs, more personal stuff as well. So if you do want that, it is on the channel. Come over. If you don't worry about it. This stuff isn't changing, all right? But yes, thank you all so much for joining me this evening, or this morning, sorry. It's now afternoon. But thank you all this morning. There is the link to the membership if you want it. But thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. If I don't see you between now and the end of it, enjoy the weekends. Look after yourselves, all right? And I'll speak to you all very, very soon to talk more Spurs. Enjoy the rest of your Saturdays, and I'll see you all then. Peace.